Hello and welcome to my latest video on merchandise associated with Cosgrove Falls, The Wind and the Willows. So as you can see this week we're looking at soundtrack albums and I have a wonderful LP in front of me here. So there were a number of soundtrack releases over the years, not that many, mostly centred around the film soundtrack itself, and by film soundtrack I mean the story as well, so it's not just the songs and music, although songs and music are of course included, which is fantastic. So basically it was, as it says here at the top there, the story, the songs and the music from the ITV production The Wind and the Willows. And we also see here featuring the voices of Ian Carmichael, Sir Michael Hordern, David Jason, Richard Pearson and Robin Holmes as the storyteller. So Robin Holmes, of course, was brought in to do all the sort of linking narration and dialogue. Also says on here the Wind and the Willows theme sung by Ralph McTell. So even though this is the soundtrack to the film, we do get the extended version of the theme tune by Ralph McTell in stereo, which you don't hear in the episodes, of course. That's lovely to have. So I adore this album, really pleased to have it. It's beautiful cover. You can see here we've got Beverly Bush's original illustration there as featured in the closing credits, although a little bit edited. In the closing credits we do of course see Badger, Ratty and Mole like this in the final slide, and Toad's up above in the aeroplane. In this version we see Toad is added, which is nice to see the four of them together like that. And this is all a little bit different, but this section here with Toad Hall, exactly as it is in those closing credits, really lovely. And we got a central photograph here, which is obviously part of that the day they shot that other famous photo where Ratty and Mole actually on the steps with Toad and Badger. So this is a little bit different. We can see Ratty and Mole on the boat in the distance there. But again, lovely photo. Got the Thames logo, top left there, and then we've got Red Bus on the bottom right, which is actually the record label. I've chatted to Keith Hopwood a few times. Now Keith is of course the co-composer for the music to this, wrote the music along with Malcolm Rowe, and I've interviewed him quite some time ago now. Asked him lots of questions, and I asked him about this, and he said it was great to get the album out there, but he thought it would always be available, and it is available through his website plutomusic.com, which is great, and it did go out into the shops sort of temporarily, and I was able to get a copy during that period, but he said that the original record label Red Bus was more of a pop record label, not really suited to something like this, but nevertheless it got the soundtrack out there, which is lovely. So on the back here we've got lots of details. You can see side 1 there, the Wind and the Willows theme, On the River, Duck's Ditty, The Open Road, Mr Toad the Motorist, The Wildwood and Mr Badger, and on side 2, Dulcie Doomham, The Further Adventures of Toad, A Hero's Song, When the Toad Came Home, The Battle and The Wind and the Willows. And the titles of the tracks are interesting because some of them sort of allude to chapters in the book, and others allude more to songs or music cues. We can clearly see all the songs there, and some of them, like The Battle, that's the title of an actual music score track, although on this album you hear the effects and dialogue. So when it comes to the score, you know, much of it is there, but it's sort of you can't listen to the score on its own, really, if you see what I mean. You've got the songs in there, but the score is kind of, it's got dialogue and effects on top. But it's got a little write-up here on Kenneth Graham's story there. So there we go, there's a little write-up on Kenneth Graham there and the film itself. And here we just have some credits, so we've got the composers acknowledged there. Interesting there where it says original lyrics from The Wind and the Willows by Kenneth Graham, so that's of course absolutely true. Kenneth Graham did write the songs in the film, sorry, in the book, apart from The Open Road. So The Open Road was the only truly original song, if you like, and that's why we got here additional lyric, The Open Road, by Rosemary Ann Sisson and John Hambley, which is interesting. I don't think they strictly wrote all the lyrics for that, but there was a bit of controversy, I think, during the writing of everything. But Rosemary Ann Sisson, of course, adapted the script and wanted to be involved in in the songs to some extent, and John Hambley was always keen on getting involved with writing as well. So John Hambley, of course, very senior at Thames. But yeah, you got Ralph McTell's credit there. Brian Ibbotson is credited. He did the orchestrations. The Halley Orchestra was brought in, of course, to record the music, and then so on. So, and it says there Pluto Studios, so which still exists today. I've been there. I've visited. I've interviewed Keith Ockman, like I say, and we've got people like Phil Bush, who's also involved in the music industry as well. So, yeah. Great to see this on the back. We've got all the cast down there as well, and talking a little bit about the premiere as well. Premiered on 20th of December 1983. It says in Her Royal Highness the Princess Margaret Countess of Snowdon, but no, that was not the case. She didn't show up, unfortunately, because she was not very well that day, so it was a little bit different. But there you go. And just so you can see the record inside, as you can see, Red Bus doesn't look like a nice soundtrack to The Wind and the Willows sort of label, does it? Red Bus looks very much like a pop record at first glance, but there you go. Okay, so in addition to the LP, I managed to pick up a cassette version, which was great to find. I think I found it on eBay. They do pop up every now and then. The LP's probably a little bit more common than the cassette, but it's nice to have it on cassette. I love the fact that we've got the original fonts of the title there on the cassette itself. A bit faded on side one, but there's side two. And another special thing about this is I actually had it signed by Mark Hall. So that was an absolute thrill. Lovely to have his signature on that. It's when I met him back in 1999. Brought this along with me, and I just thought it was a nice item to get signed. And here we have the CD version. So like I say, this was I found this in the actual shops quite some time ago now in Bournemouth, and it was available for a time in the shops. You can see it's an official release here, got a barcode and everything. There's the CD inside there. But nowadays, if you want to buy it, you just need to go directly to plutomusic.com. Little booklet there. Still an official release, but it was nice to actually have one actually bought from the shops. The fact that it was available for some time. Well, I wish it still was, but there you go. So LP, cassette and CD versions of that all available. Okay, so the version you just saw of that was probably my most pristine one. This one is very tatty. It's the first one I ever found, and I remember finding it in a second-hand, like a charity shop, I think it was, with lots of records. So it was pretty much this tatty when I got it, but it was lovely to have it. Lovely to find it back then. But in addition, I do have this copy as well. Now, this is pristine, apart from this annoying sticker that you can see on the front there. It does say Thames Valley Broadcasting, which is really interesting. £4.50 on the top there. I'm sure I paid less than that, I think. But yeah, interesting that you've got these labels on there. And even more interesting that I found out later, inside there's a letter. A letter from Red Bus Records, and this is really interesting. I'll just read this out. So it says, "Dear DJ stroke producer, as you are probably aware, the award-winning TV production of The Wind and the Willows is being reshown on Easter Monday. There is also a new series based on the characters which starts on Friday 27th of April. To coincide with the series, we will be releasing as a single The Open Road with The Wind and the Willows, performed by Ralph McTell on May the 4th. However, I have enclosed a copy of the album which features both sides of the single for you until we have copies of the single. I hope you can use it. Yours sincerely, Jane Hornsby Promotion." So really interesting bit of history there. And there's no year on it, but when they say Friday 27th of April, we have to assume that this is 1984. This letter comes from. Amazing, 1984, and look at the condition of that. So that was a lovely surprise to find that letter in there, and I think like I say, I got this from eBay, and I bought it without no knowledge that letter was in there, so that was a nice surprise. And here is the single that letter mentions. So shortly after the album was produced, they brought out The Open Road as a single, along with the title music of The Wind and the Willows, the theme tune. Hard to know which is the A side or which is the B side, and the back doesn't really tell you either. It just basically says the A side, the Wind in the Willows theme, and then the AA side, the Open Road. So they kind of consider both as important as each other. But again, Rosemary Sisson and John Hambley credited for the Open Road, and Keith Otwood and Malcolm Bowe, of course, credited for the Wind in the Willows theme, sung by Ralph Mattel. Nice image of the complete soundtrack album there as well, just promoting that. But yeah, lovely little single there. I love the front cover. Of course, we've got the beautiful caravan with Alfred the horse and the 3 characters on it. Inside, the record itself, very similar to the full album there. You've got the Red Bus logo. Again, looks like a pop record, which it absolutely isn't, but at least these got released. I'm very glad they did. This is a little bit rarer than the main album. Pops up occasionally. I've had this quite a few years now. I'm sure it was eBay that I got it. And yeah, lovely little item to have. And one big difference with this, between this and the album, is on the Open Road track, you've got all that lovely incidental music between the 2 scenes where they're singing on the caravan. So if you remember in the film, while they're out camping, there's that music in the background while the characters are talking at night. Ratty's missing the river and Toad saying, "This is the life." I'm sure you know the scene. So this is the only place you can find that music on its own. You just get a chance to listen to that without any dialogue or effects. So well worth seeking out just for that alone, to have what I would say is the complete version of the Open Road track. Okay, they did do another LP, which was 2 stories from The Wind in the Willows, from the series. So I'm sure a lot of fans and collectors will be familiar with this as well. It's pretty common, pops up fairly frequently, I'd say, on eBay. Now, the annoying thing is this was the only other album. There was meant to be more, the story goes. There was going to be further albums of stories, but that was never to be. There were cassette versions of a couple of other stories, but this was the last LP. So really sad. I don't know what that is. I just guess the sales weren't high enough, so they pulled the plug on it. But lovely to have this anyway. As you can see, the 2 stories are The Weasel's Trap and Mole's Cousin, both from Series 1. Got the cast list on the front there, and again Robin Holmes as the storyteller. And Robin Holmes is fantastic. He really is. He's the perfect choice, I think. He just fits in so well with those other voices. Nice, calm, gentle narration. Again, Thames logo there, and the Red Bus label again. And on the back, got a little write-up about the series there, talking about the BAFTA award there and the other album being available on Red Bus. Cast list, similar details to before. It actually credits the directors, which is nice, Chris Taylor and Jackie Cockle. 1984 is the year, and we get a nice black and white version of that illustration, flipped, but lovely to see that. So yeah, very nice album, very happy to have this. You do get some music in there as well. You've also got, interestingly, the song You've Got to Have a Little Bit of Style on there. Mole's Cousin, of course, featured that song and This Is My Home, which isn't on this album, sadly. But nice to have You've Got to Have a Little Bit of Style in its original form. And so I do also have this version, which is a tatty one, which I got at the same time as the other album in that charity shop. And I also am very fortunate to have a sealed copy. So I've had that for some time now. I'll always keep it sealed. Very pristine, got a bit of a dent in the corner there, but otherwise really happy with the quality of that. Very, very rare and hard to find one sealed. So there we go. Okay, so I mentioned they did a couple of other stories. So this is one of them, the Grand Annual Show in cassette form. This was so hard to find. I mean, I've only ever seen this pop up once, and I jumped at the chance when I saw this on eBay quite some time ago now, quite a few years back. But this, as you can see, it's got the Red Bus logo on there, and I assume it would have accompanied the book. I assume at some point they brought out the single book of the Grand Annual Show I looked at in a previous video, with this cassette in a little pack. So I've yet to see one in its pack. Maybe none exist anymore. But you can see here it's on both sides. Or part one is on there and part two on the other side. But lovely to have. I assume they would have done this for the other episode, the Alfred and the Caravan, which is basically a retitling of The Open Road Again. But I've never seen it. I've never seen the cassette, so I don't have complete evidence of that, but I assume they would have done it. However, there was this release. So, of course, I looked at this in my review on books. So this is my semi-sealed copy, this wonderful pack with this book here, but the book does slip out and the cassette. So if I wanted to, I could play this cassette. And it does feature the Grand Annual Show and also Alfred and the Caravan, which is fantastic to have, again with Robin Holmes as the narrator on both. So very much in the same vein as Mole's Cousin and the Weasel's Trap, but just never got an LP release. Before I found this, I did already have a copy of this cassette, which I found on eBay as well, so I just don't know where it is at the moment, but but I do have it. In addition, I do have a cassette version of that previous album, Mole's Cousin and the Weasel's Trap there. Inside, again, the red bus logo there, and a few details. Nothing too fancy. Much like the LP, all the same details. So yeah, it's good to have cassette versions of these stories. There's always that controversy over cassettes, whether they sound very good compared to vinyl. I don't know, I've got mixed opinions. I do love cassettes because you don't get all the crackling that you get with vinyl, but then vinyl is, you could argue, a truer sound. But thankfully, we did get a CD release of Mole's Cousin and the Weasel's Trap, and this is the CD. This also includes the original album of the film. These are exactly the same release, by the way. This is just different format of packaging. So this is a sort of standard CG jewel case, and you can see we've got 2 discs there. So disc 1 is the film itself, and disc 2 are the 2 other stories. Lovely. I love that it says celebrating 100 years of The Wind in the Willows. So this, of course, was brought out in 2008. So you can see the details there. I was so glad that this was released on CD, mainly for those 2 stories. So it's great to have them. The only annoying downside is that it's mono. Really annoying that it's mono, not stereo. Of course, the LP and the cassette versions are in stereo. Well, at least the cassette one is. I'm not so sure about the LP actually, but if you listen to the cassette, all the music is in stereo, and that's lovely. So just a bit disappointing that it's mono on here, but at least we have a very clean CD version of it. And this, like I say, is exactly the same release, just a different kind of case. Oop. So yeah, got other releases there. So this is by Kids Aloud, was the label. Not too hard to find if you look it up. It's fairly easy to find. But yeah, absolutely worth having. Okay, so that exact programme was previously released on a double cassette album, which is this. And the difference here is these are in stereo as well. So this is probably the best release of getting the two albums in one place. By Tempo Children's Classics there, famous image of the 4 friends there. It's flipped, annoyingly. Does annoy me when that happens, but there you go. Inside, very similar details to everything else. It would have been nice if they'd done, I don't know, a pack with the other stories as well, especially because the film is quite readily available elsewhere. It would have been nice if this had been a pack of all 4 of the stories, the episode stories. But so yeah, it just proves that Mole's Cousin, the Weasel's Trap, are a bit easier to get hold of than the other 2 stories. But this is great, well worth seeking out. Lovely little package. And then, of course, fast forward to 2009, and we got what I regard as the most exciting release of all, an official release of songs and music from the TV series. And it took a bit of time since then. It involved some engineering. Phil Bush was brought in to work with Keith on restoring the songs, adding sort of background rhythms, percussion, all sorts of things to make them a bit more worthy of a CD release, because 1 or 2 of them just sounded like demos. For instance, We'll Go Boating, Ratty just playing the piano, it does sound like a demo on its own. But when this was finally brought out, I was overwhelmed with it. I mean, the quality of the sound is stunning. It's wonderful to have all this music in one place. So if you haven't got this already, do get it. It's absolutely worth it. Very easy to get hold of. You just go straight to plutomusic.com. I'll put the website in the description for this video. So there we have it. That's the complete run of soundtrack albums. So when you put it all together, there's a fair bit, but it's generally all re-releases. So yeah, for years we just had the original album from the film, and then the stories, 4 stories in total. And it wasn't until 2009 that we got that marvellous album of songs and music from the series, and I'm so glad that was released. So yeah, wonderful to sort of see all this stuff all in one place like this. I really hope there might be another album in the future. Maybe Pluto Music would consider it. I know I would buy it in a flash, but who knows. But for now, this is a wonderful collection, so various formats where you can get all this material. So do seek it all out. So thank you as always for watching. Please do as always subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell so you're notified of future videos. And hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks a lot and all the best. Okay, so like I say, thank you for watching this video, and thank you for all the dedicated viewers to these videos on the merchandise of Wind in the Willows. Unfortunately though, I'm going to have to stop the videos for the time being, basically because I've got an exciting opportunity to write a book on the Wind in the Willows and Danger Mouse and all things Cosgrove Hall. Many will know that I've been wanting to write this book for some time. I did put a proposal in over a year ago, and I'm glad to say that's finally been accepted and greenlit. So I do now have to put all my time and energy into writing this book. It's going to be quite an undertaking. So doing these videos, as wonderful as they are, and as much as I enjoy them, they do take some time, unfortunately, to video and then edit, put together and upload. So apologies for that. I know a lot of people enjoying these. I will get to them again at some point. But what I am going to do instead is upload photos from the rest of the merchandise collection. There's still a heck of a lot to talk about, so I'm sure we can get discussions going with photos. If you're watching this directly on the YouTube channel and you haven't found it already, there is a Facebook fan group set up. If you go to Facebook and search for the Wind in the Willows fans, or Cosgrove Hall's The Wind in the Willows fan group, you're bound to find it, and that's where I will be posting photos of the merchandise on a regular basis. So please do look out for that. Once again, apologies that this is the last video for now, but trust you'll understand. Alright, all the best then to everyone, take care and see you soon.